Hello, good morning students. So today we are going to start with the first lecture of the first week of this semester, and let me just brief you about um, the sections that are there in your syllabus for this particular subject of yarn manufacture. So the first section consists of the next process, which is comber, comber preparatory and comber, and the section 2 consists of draw frame. Up till now, what you have studied is in the process of spinning, that is converting fibers to yarn. We have basically 5 processes that we need to go through. First being the blow room, second the card, third is the draw frame, fourth speed frame or roving frame, and the last process is the ring frame. So in this entire process, now we are at the third stage, which is covered under section 2 of your syllabus. And the section 1 covers an optional process which is called as the combing process, which we shall cover after draw frame. So let us begin today with a small topic on which is also called as Bayer sorter diagram. So this Bayer sorter diagram is going to be useful for both the sections of our syllabus. This Bayer sorter diagram is basically related to fiber length. So before we begin our session, let us understand about fiber length. Amongst so many other characteristics of fibers that you already must have studied during your initial semesters, the most important one is the fiber length. The other fiber characteristics that we have studied, or rather got introduced to earlier, is fiber fineness, fiber strength, fiber elongation, flexibility, the cleanliness of the fiber, and chemical deposits. So let us first understand why this fiber length is so very important for our processes in spinning. Just take a look at this pie chart here. This pie chart gives you the influence of various fiber properties. Some fiber properties are mentioned here. For example, here there's length uniformity, then there's strength. Microner is nothing but fineness. Here there's elongation, trash content, and some factors that are unexplained. All these parameters or fiber properties influence the yarn strength. So here this pie chart represents a small study on a ring spun yarn, which is of 26 English count. So now, which are the major fiber properties that influence yarn strength? One of them, as you can see, is fiber length, and the second one is length uniformity. So we are going to study this and understand these two properties better and see how they influence the yarn properties. So now it can be seen, as I've already mentioned, the fiber length and the fiber length uniformity contribute to around 44% of the yarn strength. So let us first see how this fiber length, let us understand what is the situation or the status of fiber length in the cotton ball before processing and what is the status after processing. In the cotton ball, if you were to check the fiber lengths, you would see that it's not very irregular. The fibers are almost of similar length. It is only when you go for processing for cleaning or for any other further cleaning, that is blow room and card, only then you will find that the fibers, they show a lot of variation in their lengths, and this is technically called as fiber irregularity. So the process is like ginning, where you are removing seeds, or where you are cleaning the fiber in the mills through the process of blow room and card, which we have already studied. What you find is the fiber gets shortened, they are broken, they are damaged, and then what you get is a set of fibers where you have fibers of various lengths in that lot. The fiber length shows the greatest irregularity of all other fiber characteristics mentioned above. So fiber length, again, it is the most difficult fiber property. It also shows the greatest irregularity. So the non-uniformity of the fiber length poses a lot of problems during processing. So how do we understand, or how do we measure fiber irregularity? If you see a small tuft of cotton after the initial cleaning process, that is after blow room and card, if you take a small tuft of cotton and you start measuring the fiber lengths, you will see that the fibers range from approximately 2 mm. There will be some fibers which are 30 mm, and in between the entire range, and they might even go up to 60 mm. So in a small tuft you will find all the fibers ranging from 2 mm to 60 mm, depending on the origin of the cotton. Say for example, the cotton has come from say if it's an Egyptian cotton, it will be of higher length, the maximum length, which is 60 here. If it is some Indian cotton like MCU5, you will find that it is somewhere in the mid range, where the maximum fiber length would reach maybe 35 mm or so. So the depending on the origin of the cotton, you'll find a range of fiber lengths in your cotton tuft after the initial processing is done, of course. So now here, what you see in the image is a group of children. They are There are approximately 6 children, which are kids, which are shown here. And now let us see why I am showing you this. How do we relate it to what I want to explain to you? Now the fibers are in such an irregular tuft. If you take the fibers and you arrange them next to each other with one of their ends aligned in a say certain order, say let us say decreasing order of the lengths, the way they have done it here. Now suppose you have a group of children here, and what I am doing is I am aligning them or arranging them according to their heights in the decreasing order, and they are all aligned in at one of their ends. That means they're standing on the ground on a flat surface, and I have aligned them in a decreasing order. And if I were to draw a line through their heads, like for example, what I'm saying here is, if I were to draw a line through the other end of the fibers, then what I would get is a diagram which is known as a staple diagram, which is also called as a Beer-Sutter diagram. So let us just take a look. So this is how it will look. If I take all the fibers and align them or arrange them in their decreasing order of lengths, keeping one of their ends aligned next to each other, then what I would get is this staple diagram. If I were to draw a line through the other end of the fibers, I will get this kind of a graph. So this is basically known as a Beer-Sutter diagram, or also called as staple diagram. So let us see what kind of staple diagrams you may get for different kinds of fibers. So here we have the first one, which is the easiest one, which is rectangular shape. So when you see this rectangular shape, what do you feel? I mean, what kind of fiber lengths would be there in this particular tuft? So going by the understanding that we already have, we see that since this rectangular shape has come, it means that all the fibers are of equal length, and I have arranged them along this x-axis. So this kind of a shape is only found in case of man-made fibers. So in man-made fibers, what happens is they are the fibers produced by man, and so when you cut them into a staple or a particular length, all the fibers would be of the same length. And if I were to make the Bayer sorter diagram for them, I would get a rectangular shape. But this shape will change the moment I start processing these man-made fibers. And this happens because during carding, the fibers are damaged or broken, or it's known as shortening of fibers. So shortening of fibers takes place, and you would no longer get this kind of a rectangular staple diagram. So let us go to the next kind of shape that we normally see. This is the normal staple diagram that you will see for cottons, which is known as trapezoidal shape. And it is, as I said, it is normally found in cotton fibers. This shape is the most ideal one for processing, since in the earlier rectangular shape what we find is when such a fiber is taken for processing, the fibers tend to move in groups during the process which is called as drafting, which we shall learn gradually now during this semester. The term drafting will be explained in the next lecture. So during this process, what happens is, if you have a fiber lot which has got a rectangular staple shape, then they tend to move in groups, and this leads to a high degree of unevenness in the final yarn that is produced from such fibers. So from the processing point of view, we find that the trapezoidal shape or the trapezoidal staple diagram is the best one. When you come, yeah, before that, if you have a trapezoidal shape, the flatter the curve, the better it is for processing. But at the same time, flatter the curve that you get, the costlier is the fiber. We come to the next staple diagram, that is a triangular shape, which is somewhere in between the rectangular and, or rather you can say it's a extreme case of the trapezoidal shape. So if we are getting a graph like this, which wouldn't be exactly like this, but something similar. So such a shape, as you can see, that will have a lot of short fibers here. There's a lot of fibers that are there shorter in length in this area, if I'm arranging them. Of course, it is better than the rectangular shape for processing, but due to the uncontrolled movement of these short fibers which you see over here, which are there in large numbers, what you find is that you cannot have a lot of control on such fibers entirely, and such fibers in the drafting system will lead to high yarn unevenness and hairiness. Such fibers also produce a lot of fly and waste. That means these fibers will start flying into the atmosphere, which is known as fly, and there will be a lot of wastage. Then you come to the staple diagram, which is a stepped staple, which will look something like this. And here you will guess that this is a wrong blend of different lengths of raw materials which have been wrongly blended. And once this kind of blending is there, you will see that, this particular graph may be coming because of one particular fiber, and remaining graph here, that means there are at least 2 to 3 fibers which are wrongly blended here, and that is why you're getting a stepped staple diagram. Why I'm saying it is wrong? Because again, just like a rectangular shape, these fibers of say one group coming from one particular fiber will tend to move in groups, again leading to the same problem which was earlier there, and that is yarn unevenness. So now let us see what is the instrument that is used for making this kind of a graph, or making this Bayer sorter diagram or staple diagram. So this is the instrument. This you will probably learn it in your in the subject of textile physics later on. So this instrument is used to create that kind of a diagram for you, from which, by the analysis of which, we would be able to process the fiber in a better way to get a better yarn out of the fiber that we have been provided with. So the instrument here is known as a Bayer sorter and is used to obtain the staple diagram from a tuft of fibers. So let us understand the term staple length. or effective length. From the diagram that we get, that staple diagram, what we can get a number of data from that diagram. One being the maximum fiber length. You can also find out what is the minimum fiber length. You can also get average fiber length from the diagram. But for processing, there are two important lengths that we would be requiring, either both for one for draw frame as well as for Kumber. I, I would be requiring staple length and also the short fiber percentage. These two are the most important data that I could extract from the staple diagram. So this diagram, this picture that you see is an actual Bayer sorter diagram, which we have got from a particular tuft of fibers. And as you can see, the fibers have been neatly arranged in the descending order of their lengths. And what you have got is a neat curve here, which is called as a Bayer sorter diagram. So now, how do we use this for processing? From this diagram, what you can get is this trace on a paper, and using this trace, what I can get is this particular length, which is somewhere here, which is not the average length, and which is called as a effective length. How do we get this length? What you do is, once you get this diagram, you take half of OA here, that is Q, draw a horizontal line and you get QP, draw a vertical line and you get PP dash. Then what you do is, you get this line KK dash by taking 1/4 of OP, which we have just got. 1/4 of OP is taken, this line is drawn. Again take half of this, draw this horizontal line, draw this vertical line, and then take 1/4 of OR, which is shown over here. Take 1/4 of OR and draw this particular line, which is L dash. And this would be our effective length. We also get another important length from here, which is R dash. And beyond R dash, whatever fibers are there on the right hand side of R dash are going to be the short fibers, are going to be termed as a short fibers. So these two data, that is, the first is the staple length or the effective length, which is L dash, which you get from the Bayer sorter diagram. And the second important data is a short fiber percentage, which you get over here in this area. Beyond R dash, whatever fibers are there, this would give me the short fiber percentage present in this fiber tuft. So where are we going to use this? The staple length that we get from this particular diagram, we are going to use it for ruler setting in the draw frame machine that we are going to study. And the short fiber percentage that you get from this diagram, we are going to use it for the setting of our comber, which again is a part of a syllabus under section 1. So now I want you to take a look at the different kinds of Bayer sorter or the staple diagrams that you get from different fibers that are originating from different areas. For example, if you have an Indian cotton, if you have an Egyptian, St. Vincent, and American cotton, if you just look at the graphs that the cotton tuft from these particular fibers give you, you will see that they are not the same. This graph or this diagram is very much different from, say, this one, and this one is very much different when you compare it with, maybe, say, this. So none of them are same, but they would lean towards one of the graphs, either trapezoidal or triangular, when you just take a look at them. For example, this would look familiar to you. So now here they have given effective lengths that are there, which has been given in inches. What I want you to do is convert these given effective lengths. This could be your assignment. Convert these given effective lengths in inches to mm, so that you have some practice of conversion of inches to mm. Do this for all these 4 kinds of fibers, and also try to relate the shapes that they are giving to the shapes that we have just studied. So now we come to almost the end of this session, but there is this last thing that we need to discuss, that is, what are the other factors that are influenced by fiber length. Fiber length, of course, it influences yarn strength, but it also influences some other factors. So what are they? The fiber length, as we can see, it influences the productivity values of a particular process. In addition to the yarn strength that it affects, it also affects yarn evenness, which we have seen how a particular staple diagram affects yarn evenness, and it also affects yarn hairiness. So other than these 3 important yarn properties that it affects, it also affects spinning limit. That means to what fineness a yarn can be spun. It is decided by staple length to a large extent. Also the handle of the particular yarn, that means the contact. Handle means comfort when it is touched by the skin. So what kind of handle it provides. So that is also to a large extent decided by fiber length. Also the luster, that means the shine that a particular yarn may, or the sheen that it may give you. So that also is affected by fiber length. As we already mentioned, that it affects some of the productivity factors, and how they are affected. They are affected through end breakage rate. So if you have a lot of short fibers in your fiber, you'll see that the end breaks. What is an end? I mean, during processing, when you're making a yarn, that particular yarn will, during production, will keep on breaking very often, too frequently, because of which the machine will stop, and that is the reason the production values will get affected. A lot of short fibers um, in your fiber lot will also affect the quantity of waste. More the number of short fibers, more will be the waste. It will also affect number of twists that you might have to insert in your final yarn. It's almost directly related. If you have a lot of short fibers in your cotton, then what you see is the number of twists that is required to be inserted to give you enough strength becomes high. And if the twists are high, what happens is it affects the handle properties in turn. So they are all interrelated here. So this was the last slide, as I told you. Thank you very much for your patience. And whatever you have not understood, or if there are any doubts, then we will of course meet on Google Meet. And there will be some terms even during this presentation which you might not have entirely grasped or understood, which will be clarified in the next coming few lectures. So my request to you is kindly be regular in these lectures and try to be in touch through Google Meet, so I would be able to solve your doubts and problems as soon as possible. Thank you.